Man, this is going to be a long season. Boys and girls, the New York Jets lose for the 15th time in a row to the New England Patriots by the score of 15-10. Jets had a shot late in this game. Quarterback did not give them an opportunity. The Hail Mary at the end, notwithstanding, Cobb could have caught that ball. Jets almost won in miraculous fashion. Let's call a spade there. But very much this game was out of hand the moment we took the field. You could tell clear as day the Jets had no faith in Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson didn't appear to have any faith in himself. Robert Saleh has come out. Yeah, Zach's fine. They're going to continue moving forward with him. I don't know how you continue to trot this kid out week after week. And maybe the answer is just, hey, there's not a better option at this point in time, which it's hard to argue, I guess, from his skill set perspective. But man, I mean, you cannot have 10 points through 2 weeks of play or whatever we had last week plus this. Like, I literally didn't even change the graphic. It was 10 points last week, 10 points this week. And if it weren't for Xavier Gibson's punt return the week before and Garrett Wilson's miraculous touchdown catch against Buffalo, this offense would be totally shut out. So I feel like you got to get a quarterback in here. This game was lost because we did not get a quarterback after the Buffalo win. After Rodgers went down, the Jets should have had a quarterback in here that would have at least provided some sort of, oh no, panic button. We can't get anything done. Let's put the other quarterback in. That's what you would have done to Zach at halftime or, at some point in the third quarter. And, I think we're playing a little bit too much of this mental gymnastics as far as, we don't want to upset Rodgers. We can't go out and get a good quarterback. And we don't want to upset Zach and his confidence because he might turn it around and be something. But, I'm sorry. This was just not a good game. Not a good game. Patriots had no fear of Zach Wilson. There was nothing that, they felt compelled they had to stop. You're not seeing Zach run with his legs. I would have liked to have seen that. Some type of dynamicness to this offense. Breece Hall had a fairly good amount of touches, couldn't get anything going. Dalvin Cook couldn't get anything going. I think up until that final drive, no one had over 30 yards on the day. I think Garrett Wilson ultimately finishes with more. Maybe Lazard got close. I guess let's rattle off some of the statistics. The leaders, if you want to call it that, for the New York Jets. Zach Wilson, 18 of 36 for 157 yards. Now, remember, 70 of those yards probably came in the final two drives. This game was not close. He had 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Breece Hall, 12 carries, 18 yards. He also had 1 reception for 9 yards. I'd have to go back and see how many targets he had because he did have a few more targets. I know one was thrown high towards the right-hand side. Zach sailed it on him. Dalvin Cook, 8 carries, 18 yards. He was the leader in the clubhouse as far as average per touch or average per run, 2.2 yards a carry. On the receiving side of things, Garrett Wilson, 48 yards on 5 receptions. Lazard, 39 yards on 3 receptions. Conklin, 26 yards on 3 receptions. Just an ugly, ugly showing. The Patriots, while they didn't have a crazy day, they didn't have to. They just had to play mistake-free football, which is what they did. The Jets didn't turn over the ball either. But the Patriots didn't, not an outstanding day. Stat line wise, Mac Jones was basically 50%. He was 15 of 29 for 201 yards and a touchdown. Basically the same stat line as Zach with the exception of the yards and the touchdown, obviously. If you take out that blown coverage by Whitehead and that, 58-yard touchdown, they literally have the same exact stat line. The same exact stat line. 150 some odd yards, no touchdowns. Jets defense gave up that one. That was not a good play. But other than that, they locked it down. They didn't allow the Patriots to really do a whole heck of a lot. Zeke Elliott had 80 yards, 5 yards per attempt. Stevenson, 19 carries, 59 yards. They ran the ball 35 times for 129 yards. That's how you beat the Jets. That's how you beat any team in a rainy, shitty day. We saw Hall fumble the ball once early on. He did recover his fumble. That's the second time he's fumbled this year and had it returned to the Jets. He hasn't lost a fumble yet. But man, it just feels like our playmakers can't get open. It feels like our playmakers can't get the ball in their hands. And it just feels like the whole team overall feels like they are demoralized. Like ever since Rodgers went down, it felt like the energy was just totally sucked out with it. There doesn't feel like there's a fight like there should be. Like I want to see guys like, fighting for those extra yards, but we can't even get them the ball to get the yards. And I worry we saw a little bit of back and forth with Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson. It may have been nothing major. It didn't look horribly, horribly bad, but at the same time, like, this is going to start bubbling over. And if you're not addressing the elephant in the room with quarterback position and you're just saying, hey, we've been gifted this year because Aaron Rodgers got hurt, everyone on the coaching staff has a pass for this season, and you're just going to run it with Zach Wilson the rest of the time, you're doing a disservice to the rest of the fan base. You're doing a disservice to the players on this team. You have to go out and get a quarterback, and I just don't know how anyone can defend Zach Wilson at this point in time. Yes, he played mistake-free football today, but it was horrible. The offense could not get going, and it was very much because of him. Offensive line-wise, was not great. Becton gives up the safety. That ultimately freezes the game, ends the game. I don't put that on Zach because that heat came so fast and to his blind side that he couldn't have done anything about that. There were some players open. You saw Romo point to it, say, oh, look, this guy's open in the flat. This guy's open right up the gut, and that's great, but you're assuming you're going to have more than half a second. That was like 1 second, and Zach was getting tackled for the safety. So, look, a sloppy game across the board. I didn't think the receivers got a whole lot of separation. I didn't think the running backs did anything of note. The offensive line, for what it was, I guess, was okay. It was better than Dallas, not by a whole lot, but it's better than Dallas. Didn't see the sack numbers like you saw last week. But this team feels like it's dead in the water until they make some type of change at quarterback. This is the type of game where you wish you had a Brissett, or you wish you had a Minshew, or you wish you had some type of player that you could have at least plugged in for Zach Wilson at some point in time. So this was very frustrating for me. I'm sure a lot of Jet fans. Blitz Crew comes in and says the offensive line was bad, but better at the end. Pat's coverage was great. Zach was backup level aside from one drive. Running game was bad. D-line was quiet. Fans booing and cheering when the offense doesn't help. Yeah, I don't like seeing the boo birds, but the easy way to combat the boo birds is to do something positive. So Blitz Crew, while I do agree with you, I don't like hearing that, and it's definitely not helpful. It's nothing but their fault. Ultimately, really, really not good stuff here. I don't know. I'm not feeling all warm and fuzzy about this right now. As far as Pat's playing great coverage, they were down 3 of their top 4 cornerbacks. Now, obviously, Christian Gonzalez, first-round pick this year, was on Garrett Wilson, and really that's all you needed. You only needed the one good cornerback because Zach wasn't getting beyond his first read for the most part anyway. But, yeah, disappointing showing by the New York Jets. Joe says, here we go again. Another quarterback bust, part of it due to coaching. Hackett is awful. There's no creativity. I think we have to accept the season is over. The moment Rodgers went down, that was my gut feeling. And that sucks to be 4 plays into a season. And I think that's why you're seeing the team kind of as deflated as it is they're aware of it too. There's nothing that you could look at from the offensive side of the ball from Zach Wilson that you've been given and think, oh, we could turn it around, or give any hope to any player on this team. And what are you going to do? Are you going to go out and trade for Kirk Cousins? That's not going to happen. Maybe you bring in like a Matt Ryan or something, but like this team's shot. It is shot. They know it. It's brutal. Revulsion, F Zach, I'm tired of BS football. Yeah, I want to see competent quarterback play. That's why we were excited with Rodgers here. Not to see like MVP caliber Rodgers. I was looking forward to top 20 quarterback play, and we have picked up exactly where we have left off. This game felt very much like an extension of the last time Zach played the Patriots. Noah says Sauce is having a sophomore slump. I mean, maybe I missed something today where he was like really bad. I didn't notice it. I'd have to go back and take another look at that. But the last 2 games, I don't think Sauce was really that bad. I wouldn't call that a sophomore slump. Woke Hogan says, Joe Douglas's draft record is incredibly overrated. He whiffed on 3 out of 4 drafts. 3 out of 4 drafts. So you're claiming this draft was a bust, right? Is that what you're... Because he's had 4. I would say the 2021 is a clear bust. Zach, you only got... Or no, that wasn't the Zach year. That was the Becton year. You didn't get much out of him. That's an easy one to write off. The one with Zach and AVT, a lot of it hinged on Zach panning out. And he just hasn't. We whiffed on that pick. AVT looks good. Some of the other players that we picked up in that draft look fine. Then he has an all-time like historic draft the year after. Like literally every single pick was a hit. If you sprinkled those picks over a course of like every draft, all his drafts would look good. Like one phenomenal draft changes the entire outlook of a team. It's basically the only reason the Jets have any sort of success or any sort of hope for success. This year, I think Tippmann's going to be fine. I think McDonald's going to be fine. I would say he's whiffed on 2 out of 4. He just missed on the most critical ones. He missed on Zach. He missed on Becton. Just sucks. I don't care. I would hold on to Joe Douglas. I don't think he's really the issue here. Offensive line should have been, better than it was, but he's gone after free agents and it just hasn't worked out. Aaron says, have to put a little blame on Hackett. The routes were trash, but nonetheless, Wilson is not it. Yeah, I don't trust Wilson at all, but Hackett looked very bad. Hackett looked really, really bad. And I'm sitting here I don't know what Miami wound up having. When I turned it on, or I was looking at the score, 70 points with 8 minutes left in the third quarter, or 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. 70 points. The Jets got 10. It's going to take us half the season to get how many points Miami put up in one fucking game. This league is built for offense, and Jets just can't figure it the fuck out. Knob Craft says, the Salah post-game presser killed me. Dude has no fire, no clue. It's time to move on off this dude. He's impotent and lost. I don't know how you move off of Salah while Rodgers is still here. I think they've given everyone a pass for this year, and it just sucks. It really sucks. We punted on a fucking season. We wasted another year of all these young, great players. Like this, it sucks. And I don't know if it's Salah. I mean, the defense is playing well. The team's fighting hard. The offense just cannot get anything going, and it seems like we're just afraid to make the move and pull the Band-Aid off and just get rid of Zach. Like it's a failed experiment. I know you wanted him to sit behind Rodgers for a year or two and like hide the fact that he was such a bad selection. But man, you owe it to the rest of the team. You owe it to the fan base to put at least a playable quarterback out there. I'm not going to lie. As someone who got tickets for Jets Chargers, I'm fucking pissed. I'm going into the season and this might be nothing. We're like 1-2 and the season is over. That's what it feels like. It felt like 1-0 the season's over once Rodgers went down. Ryan King says, what about trading the Giants for their second string quarterback? Tyrod Taylor. I would take anyone at this point. I don't even know who else you could go out for, but holy hell, this is bad. Sorless says, this team continues to surprise me with how bad they can make things. Too many chances to people who don't deserve them. I'd rather watch Gase teams right now. Sorless, absolutely not. I'm sorry. This is really bad, but I will not go back to watching Adam Gase. That was miserable, miserable ball. This is miserable offense, but there's good players at least. Do not want Adam Gase. Luka, Zach sucks. Play calling sucks. No run game. Wide receivers dropping balls. Offensive line is mid, and we played against a great defense. Surprised we didn't lose by more. So the Jets got shut out in the wide receiver game when they were missing 3 of their top 4 cornerbacks. The Patriots were. So I don't want to hear that Zach, it just didn't work out. It was a shitty rainy day. No, you're playing against cornerback 5, 6, 7 outside of cornerback 1. But yes, play calling sucked. I thought it was vanilla. I don't know why they're afraid to let Zach run. He literally does not bring much value outside of that at this point. You can objectively look at this and say, you can bet for the most part, the Jets are going to have significantly more 3-and-outs than they're going to have first downs, like on a consistent basis. And at some point, you just got to turn and just say, like, well, we screwed up. We got it wrong. And Hackett doesn't know how to call plays for people that are not named Blake Bortles or Aaron Rodgers, because Hack, I thought, had a really bad game as well. So I agree with you there. Oh, man. Brian Bogan says, this is why Sunday tickets purchases are final. This is why Sunday ticket purchases are final. They have a lot of refund requests right now, me included. Yeah, if you bought the NFL Sunday ticket to watch the Jets out of market, dude, I'm sorry. And I hope the Jets are on every fucking primetime game to just nuke the NFL's ratings, or they just send us down to 1 o'clock and we don't have to at least put our shittiness on fucking display for the entire nation to watch. It's brutal. There's a reason why they wanted to lock fans into 2 years of season tickets. They're like, oh, we could get them now. Guess what? You got 8 free fucking games from Jet fans this year. Oh, man. Dom C texted me before the game. He said, oh, yeah, I got an extra ticket if you want to go. I was like, I appreciate it, Dom C. It's pissing rain right now. Can't do it. Can't do it. Viviana says, the football gods are beyond cruel. They tempt you with a steak dinner, and as you eat it up, it turns out it's rotten. Jets fans deserve better. Jet fans do deserve better. This is like bullshit. I don't know how long we can go without a legitimate quarterback, but even when you get one, they get hurt. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, fucking Fitzpatrick was 100 years old when we had him, and he wound up like having the best season that we've seen at quarterback, arguably ever. Like, nameth be damned. This just sucks. This really sucks. 3 weeks into the season, I feel like it's fucking over. Fungus Among Us says, hit the like button for Ryan. Thank you. We got 900 people in here. Hit that like button if you are as frustrated as I am, because this hurts. Small Health Jet Petroleum says, I have never seen a Jets quarterback this terrible. Isn't that like saying something too? Like the fact that we saw Sanchez and we're like, oh, well, we can't get worse than Sanchez. Oh, we got Geno. Oh, shit, he's running out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage. Well, it can't get worse than that. Oh, Sam Darnold. We got Sam Darnold. This is great. Oh, well, we didn't have any weapons. We didn't have an offensive line. We kind of screwed Sam. He was a really good person, but, like, man, it just kind of sucks. Like, didn't work out. Adam Gase screwed him. You know, sideways motion. Oh, Zach Wilson, number 2 overall pick. Well, that can't be worse than everything else that we've seen. Like, historically bad. Yo, fucking figure the fuck out. You're paid to be a quarterback. You're paid to find a quarterback. You're paid to put the Jets in the best position to fucking win. The Patriots scored 15 fucking points. Blitz Crew says, focus on young guys set up for success next year. Becton at left tackle, Tittman at center, AVT at guard, Warren at right tackle, less Huff and Lawson, more McDonald and JJ. I hate the fact that we're talking about this. The fact that we're talking about, hey, let's just see if we can, let's kick on the season. We're just going to get the best draft pick we can get. We're going to play the young players, give them some reps this year, get them ready for Rodgers next year. Like, I don't want to see that. We're 3 games into a fucking season. Give me something to cheer about. I don't care about the draft pick. I really don't. Because if the Jets get a top 5 draft pick, they're not taking a quarterback. I just want to see some fucking winning. Something to be proud of, at least. Lose the game, but have 200 yards rushing. I don't care. Give me something other than 150 fucking yards. The unit says, in the NFL, you have to step on the D. That means you are wide open. Guys, we're wide open everywhere. He just has to make tight throws. All other NFL quarterbacks make these plays. This is why I feel like you have to move off Zach Wilson. You're not getting what you need to from a fundamental, basic standpoint. I agree. There were plays there. He couldn't hit them. Rick D, thank you for the super chat. I don't see another comment on there. V-Man, I cracked open an artisanal bottle of Puerto Rican rum. I had like this nice bottle of red wine. Shouldn't say nice bottle. It's a Jets bottle of red wine. It has a little Jets logo on. I was like, oh, I'm going to open this when the Jets make the playoffs at some point. I've had it for 3 years since I got it. It was a moving in gift to the house, for the house. At this rate, I'm not going to be cracking it open anytime soon. Ugh. Wimmy comes in and says, what is Joe thinking? We need a quarterback. Defense must be mad. I want to see, did Minnesota end up winning today or losing? I know they were down by a little bit. And like Cousins has like 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns and 300 yards against the Chargers. Dude, just go out and get him. Go out and get him. I don't know. You got to make some kind of, you cannot trot Zach Wilson out there again. You can't do it. Ryan King, I will not buy any Jets merch till Zach is gone. That's a pretty good thing to kind of do. Hit him where it hurts in the pocket, because like if we keep buying jerseys and we keep buying tickets and all this other shit. By the way, buy some tickets for the Jets Chargers group buy with me and Green Bean. Commiserate, right? No, yeah. It's hard pressed. You'd be hard pressed to buy a jersey for this team right now and show any kind of support financially when they're putting that level of product out on the field. I feel bad for season ticket holders. I feel bad for anyone that went to that game. I feel bad for anyone who's like, I feel bad for Jet fans. This just sucks. One, Joe Cav says, Garrett Wilson is gone after year 4 or 5. He's not going to want to stay with this organization. Players won't want to come here. Rebuild soon is on the way. That's sure as hell what it feels like right now. That is a scary thing to have to think about. Garrett Wilson, the best wide receiver we may ever have had, like from a pure talent perspective, what he's able to do. And we're just wasting away good years. There's going to be 2 years of Garrett Wilson just totally thrown in the trash because we can't figure out the fucking quarterback situation. Jake says, most defeating loss for me in a while, wasted year. I think last week's was worse for me. Last week really kind of put the stamp on it. This one just kind of is like, this was an extension of last year. At least I feel like, Zach Wilson is very clearly the problem. It's not like we dragged it out another week or two. So maybe you get another quarterback in here. You have to be able to go into Denver in 2 weeks with some kind of competent offense. You're not going into Kansas City game next week. They might have to flex that out of primetime. Like, that's how awful this is. It's just going to be Kansas City putting on a show on this Jets team right now. Knobcraft says, I love Angry Ryan, best of all. I don't want to be Angry Ryan, though. That's the thing. This isn't an act. This is me just wanting to see some friggin' quarterback play. Small Health Petroleum says, every backup quarterback in the NFL is better than Zach 100%. That's what it feels like. And I would bet the stats are pretty close. Michael says, I have lost faith in Zach Wilson and almost lost faith in Hackett also. What do we do? What do we do now? There seems no good solution. Man, we are cursed. We made our bed when we traded for Aaron Rodgers, and I think it was the right move. Freak injury. And you know what? I was even behind, look, don't go for a backup quarterback. Just leave Zach. Rodgers is going to play every game. He always plays every game. What are the chances? Oh, we're the fucking Jets. That's what happens. When you're the Jets, you cannot bank on option A ever working out. Even with a Hall of Famer who literally never misses a fucking game. I'm just like crushed. This is such a lame duck season. I don't know what happens. I don't know. Give me some type of hope. Sell me hope. I'm okay with hope. You're selling me like sadness right now, and I'm not buying it. Soreless comes in and says, to clarify the Gase thing, I knew we'd suck, and I could root accordingly. Zero expectations. This team and staff gave me hope we could be something. That's one way to look at it, right? Like, I'd rather be in the Gase position and know you have no chance all the time. This team gave me hope. I was like, look, hey, Rodgers is down. We still got a shot. We got a puncher's shot. We got Breece Hall. We got Garrett Wilson. We were 5-1 with Zach at the helm last year before everyone got hurt. Why can't we figure it out? Bullshit. I feel you, Soreless. Noah says, poor Richie in Jets Media Day. Yeah, that's a rough one. You got a good one last year with the Miami game. That sucks. Hey, yo, doo-doo. Instead of a super chat hating on the team, which is warranted, I'll just say I love my fellow Jets fans, man. We don't deserve we don't deserve to see that kind of play from our team, man. Stay strong, guys. Hey, doo-doo. I appreciate you not piling on. It's very easy to give up hope right now because that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's going to take me a bit. I got to try and find some enthusiasm, but I don't know where I can find it. At least we're in this together. This is a misery loves company thing. It always has been in this channel. I've never covered a winning team. In the 5 years I've been doing this, never covered a winning team. And you guys at least come out and hang out and commiserate with me. So I appreciate you guys in the chat. Means a lot. Landon says, you think a breakup hurts? Try being a Jets fan. Dude, I was with Shay, and we were sitting there watching the game, and I look over, and she's got, like, the phone charger, and it's, like, it's, like, a 10-foot long charger. So it's a real long charger. She's, like, looping it around, like, sucking on it. And I'm like, stop doing that. I know you're a Jets fan. And this feels like, what has to happen. But no, have some hope. You're too young to be this sad about the Jets already. You can't even understand stuff. Dude, I almost want to tell my kid, like, just don't be a Patriots fan. Don't be a Giants fan. Don't be a Bills fan. Don't be a Miami fan. You can be any other fan. I hope you're a Jets fan. But, like, that's got to qualify for, like, child abuse at some point. Fucking terrible. Ryan King, we should have got Rodgers and Carr. Yeah, Carr got knocked out. He's going for x-rays today, too. Rodgers got the Achilles. Literally, the two guys that are never hurt are both currently hurt right now. What do? What's the game plan? Unrelated question. Says, I'm close to looking at mock drafts and draft boards. I'm trying not to get to that point, but I'm going to start enjoying college football a lot more. I might be doing a few more college game day streams, like for the game of the week. Actually, you know what? Let's do this, because the poll question is pretty much set in stone right now. 58% of you, of damn near 1,000 votes, says you have no hope with Zach at quarterback. All right. So poll question, should I stream college game of the week each week? That's going to be the question. I'm curious to see if you guys would want to hang out and watch that, because we're not seeing a whole lot of good football right now. We get a little bit of an inside track on learning some of the stuff about the college players. Sif U says, Zach plus this O-line is built for disaster. You can get okay play and okay results, i.e. the Falcons, if only one is bad. But if both are poor, you're going nowhere. And honestly, I thought the offensive line, for the most part, played relatively well today. Like, there was definitely plays and spots in this game that were bad and blamed on the offensive line. But Zach, there were plenty of times where Zach was just holding the ball, and just couldn't pull the trigger. He's afraid to make a turnover. He's afraid to do anything. And it feels like the Patriots are in his head. The NFL's in his head. You just can't keep trotting this guy out there. I don't think it's fair for the rest of the team. Blitz Crew comes in and says, best thing about Monday Night Football Chargers, meeting the Talking Jets crew and other diehard Jets fans, plus the shirt. Thank you, Blitz Crew. Making me feel a little bit better. So if you guys do want to hang out with us, Jets, Chargers, Monday Night Football, going to be a good time. I'm going to enjoy hanging out. The tailgate's the best part. And then if we get to see some good football, who knows? This is after the trade deadline, so maybe the Jets make a move prior to the trade deadline, and we're seeing some competent football play. Guy can hope. Wild Wave says, talent means nothing if they're not on the field. I would fire someone just to wake Salah up. Seems like he already lost the locker room, a disgrace. I don't know how the players don't feel completely disheartened. And Breece Hall, I don't want to see any fucking tweets from you. Dude, that was a bad showing. 1.8 yards a carry. Like, look, it's on the offensive line too. But, dude, you can't be saying 4 carries and, like, feed me the ball, that's the reason we lost, and not do anything at all the entire game. Breece Hall under 2 yards a carry for the second straight week. Plus, he had a fumble. This isn't all on Zach, but man, Zach's got to change. That's the one piece you could kind of swap out and maybe provide some type of spark. Because you're not going to get it from an offensive coordinator switch. You're not doing that while Rodgers is here. You're not doing that to Salah. The quarterback's the easiest way to spark something right now. Michael says, in Germany, we have a saying, hope is green. Grün ist die Hoffnung. So we all should stay strong and hope for the better. But we need an idea now. I think you swap out the quarterback. That's the only way you provide a spark here. I was at this game, says Lewis. Crowd was a joke. Crowd was a joke meaning a lot of Patriot fans, or crowd was a joke meaning they were booing the whole time? I'd like to know a little bit more, Luis. Lewis, I'd like to know more. Kenzie, the first super chat, says, we need Mike White back. I saw a stat today that was goddamn horrible. Let me see if I could pull it up. This is from last year, I guess. Team leaders in passing yards per game. Jets 2021 and 2022. Zach Wilson when he's out. Look at this. Hold on, let it load. Let's see if I can get to this show. Team leaders in passing yards. When Zach Wilson is out, 319 yards a game. That's first in the NFL. When Zach starts, 165 yards a game. That's 31st in the league. When anyone other than Zach starts at quarterback, the Jets have like one of the most potent offenses in the league. Let that sink in for a second. That's outrageous. Mike comes in. Over 800 people in here and under 200 likes. Hit those milk thumbs. Boys and girls, hit the milk thumbs. I know it's not a good game. I understand that. If you feel bad for me, or if you feel bad for our damn Jets, feel bad for yourself, feel bad for the players, feel bad for everyone else, hit the like button. Goes a long way. The unit says, not saying White would win this game, but he would have made the easy passes and made it enjoyable. D didn't play great, but only gave up 15 points. The D only gave up 13 points. Mekhi Becton gave up a safety. The defense gave up 13 points today. Now, remember, they did miss 2 field goals, so this could have been a 21-10 game if their field goal kicker makes anything. But it was hard conditions, so he missed them. But this is bad. Really bad. Denon says, season ticket holder, was at the game, done with Zach, need to draft a quarterback with their first-round pick next year and have him sit behind Rodgers. The sad thing is, if the Jets are in position to take a quarterback, I would bet my bottom dollar that they're not going to do that, and they're going to trade down. They're going to trade down. They're going to get as many picks as possible because they're not going to waste an asset, especially a top 10 pick, on a quarterback while Rodgers is here. Now, maybe that's enough motivation to piss Rodgers off and just say, all right, now I'm going to play to MVP caliber level, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to go with an offensive lineman. They'll trade down from a top pick if a quarterback is there, and they're not going to make the quarterback selection, which I don't know. I don't know how much I want this staff to groom another quarterback. I want to see success with like a quarterback before I see them with another shot at a young quarterback. And that's what Rodgers was supposed to provide us. Denon, I don't know what to tell you. I'm in a rough spot, and I feel for you, dude. I feel for you. Juan comes in. I don't understand Nathaniel Hackett play calling the last 2 weeks. He wants to throw 40 times when they're going to blitz Zach. Kansas City next week, I'm not watching. So the reason for the passing is because you're running into 8-man boxes, and you're already like not getting over 2 yards a carry. So you got to throw the ball to try and keep them honest. Do something, screen passes, anything. But it just feels like Zach can't. The playbook is so limited with Zach that I think that's hamstringing the offense. I don't think a lot of the receivers are really given a full all out except for Garrett Wilson, because it feels like no one could get open. And maybe that's just like cornerback 5, 6, and 7 for the Patriots. Because remember, they're without 3 of their top 4 cornerbacks today. They literally only needed 1 decent cornerback. Gonzalez is a very good cornerback, but rookie on Garrett Wilson, and that neutralized our entire passing attack. Not that we have much of a passing attack anyway, but you could just sell out. Put everyone in to stop Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. That's the game plan. Zach's not beating you with his arms. Not going to beat you. Mike E says, bro, I'm so tired of this. I'm like legitimately exhausted. It's hard for me to get up and be like excited for Jets football when 3 weeks into the season's over. Give me something to root for. Give me something to be hopeful for. At least if we had a young quarterback or someone out there that could be like, okay, maybe this guy could be the answer in the future. Like, Zach's not it. Flush him. I'm done. The NY Bully comes in. Thank you so much. He says, the offensive line play was better this week than last week, and Zach was less productive. He's the biggest part of our problems. I'm beating the drum for a quarterback change solely for the morale of our team. Jameis, Brissett, anyone. I would take anyone at this point. I don't know who it's going to be. We saw before the game, they said Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz both reach out to the Jets. Carson Wentz is the one I would go for. He's at least mobile enough. There's a reason, though, why Douglas didn't go after him. He was on staff with Carson Wentz, and he saw Carson Wentz get bounced from 3 other teams in 3 years. And I would still rather go with that guy. Like, I don't know what you do with Zach. Just send him to the bench. I'm not seeing Boyle out there. Is Brissett really going to get traded from the Commanders? I don't know. Like, what team out there is willing to give up a quarterback? I don't think it's out there. Christian Martin, welcome! Where's my button? There we go. Thank you for supporting the chat. You get some cool emojis. Guys, drop some JETS in the chat for Christian, our newest member. He likes the pain. That's what I heard. Let's take a look at this. Josh comes in and says, not one team in the NFL would start Zach Wilson. I would take the cap hit and move on because if we signed a quarterback, it would be very toxic in the locker room. Yeah, you almost have to just pull the plug. Just, hey, sorry. Someone like find another team and just say, hey guys, give us a conditional 7th. If Zach is on your roster next year, we'll get your 7th round pick in 2027. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, just make the move. I don't want to see him go to like the Patriots or something stupid like that. But dude, I don't know how you bring in a quarterback right now and have Zach sitting on the bench. I feel like that's like the minute you pull Zach, it's the minute he's like done. Blitzcrew says, we are only drafting a day 1 or 2 quarterback with Aaron Rodgers' blessing. I think the earliest is the 3rd since Aaron Rodgers will still want high resources for offensive line and wide receiver. Blitzcrew, I completely agree. And I don't even think 3rd round because we only have a 1st and a 3rd. Now, if you trade down from the 1st and you pick up like multiple 1s over the course of a few years or, 2 or whatever, then maybe you pull the trigger in the 3rd. But I think the 1st round pick and the 3rd round pick, if the Jets were to stay put, are both going to be used to help Aaron Rodgers. I agree. You would need his blessing in order to move on, if I had to guess. Illegally Beast Mode says, time for O'Leary to suit up. I want to see O'Leary out there. Give me more entertainment. I don't want to see him break in half behind this offensive line, but I would very much like to see O'Leary instead of Zach Wilson. Brian Bogan says, poor team rated 32nd under Zach Wilson. What poor team is rated 32nd under Zach Wilson? Dude, every team. Our team is rated 32 under Zach Wilson. Hyper Vic says, as a Patriots fan, Jets need work on offense. It's really the quarterback. Offensive line has been rough, but it's really the quarterback. Really, really bad. There was times where we had opportunities, and I think you guys would not stack 8 in the box if Aaron Rodgers is out there or if any other quarterback is out there. I think just because you don't have to fear Zach's arm, it's an easy let's just send everyone else. Let's man up everyone and just send the house every time. I really wanted to setting you guys down to 0-3. Jets are going to be underdogs every single game this year. I don't know if there's one game I can look at on our schedule and say, oh, Jets are not an underdog in this game. John comes with a $10 super chat, says, send Zach to Mars. the rocket would explode on takeoff. Or he'd aim for Mars and hit the moon. Or get launched into the asteroid belt. He'd miss. He'd be off target. Jake wanted to beat the Pats and Bills so bad. Stream helps out. Well, I'm glad. Glad you're here to commiserate. Because this shit sucks. Brian says, can't let Zach go. He's a cougar magnet. I don't care. Love me a good cougar. Not with Zach, though. The NY Bully says, above average to good teams now have the Jets marked as a win on their calendar. Realistically, where do we go from here? Dude, that's just it. I'm lost. I don't know where to go. We need a quarterback change, but we gave up, what is ultimately going to be a second-round pick for Aaron Rodgers, and you have him under contract for next year. So it's not like you can really commit to someone like long term, and you don't want to give up a first-round pick. If somehow you can get Kirk Cousins to the Jets on as like for a third-round pick, and then you send them Zach Wilson, and then you have a conditional pick based on how Kirk Cousins does this year, like if the Jets go to the Super Bowl, they get the first-round pick in 2025 or something like that. I think it has to be a conditional pick. But even then, I don't know if Kirk Cousins is necessarily coming here. And this is me like wanting to go back to Kirk Cousins after he spurned us, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I don't know the right answer. I don't know what quarterback's out there to be had. But it just feels like we are a dead man walking the entire season. And you're going to waste everyone else's time and money and careers. The health of their careers potentially. For Zach Wilson to trot out there every single week. Ken, what will your excuse be with Hack and any other quarterback under center with this offensive line and they keep losing? At least if you have other quarterbacks losing consistently, then you can point to Hackett. You're still not going to do anything because Aaron Rodgers is here, and Rodgers and Hackett are tight. So it's not like Hackett's going anywhere. But is the best shot at hope for next year Zach Wilson driving the Jets into the ground this year? And you can say like, oh, well, it was clearly Zach Wilson. We get Aaron Rodgers back. It's totally going to be better. Right, Kenneth? I think you and I are on the same page. I appreciate it. Sucks because I'm right there with you. It feels like regardless of what quarterback's under center, the offensive line's not going to hold. This offensive line today, though, I don't think was really the problem. I think this one was on Zach. B. West, forget his blessing. It's a business. The guy is getting paid to sit. Not his fault, but if the Jets are that bad this year, they need to take a quarterback. Yeah. Look, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I would be surprised if they did it. I think that's where my head's at, really. I said during the halftime show with Green Bean and Matt, hey, I would make the quarterback pick if the Jets find themselves in position to do so. But because of Rodgers being here, I don't think they're going to do it. I think they would trade out. I'd love to have a really highly touted quarterback just sit and just be like, hey, Rodgers, we're up Schitt's Creek. And Rodgers is sitting there probably thinking like, I was going to give you 3-4 more years. Not more years, 2-3 years. Potentially. He wanted Zach to take over after multiple years sitting behind him. So are you going to take a quarterback first overall? I mean, I guess you just don't restructure Rodgers' contract and you just jettison him after next year. Maybe there's a situation where you trade Rodgers to Minnesota, and Minnesota bottoms out this year. They get Rodgers next year, gets to go up against the Packers, and then the Jets get Kirk Cousins to move forward with for the next 5 years. Maybe that's the play, right? Send Zach and Rodgers over to Minnesota. They could figure it out. Tank the year if they have to tank the year. That's a stupid thing. Stupid thought. On some level, it does make some little bit of sense. I'm distraught. I don't know where to go. I think you guys can tell. Juan, I would reach out to the Cowboys about Cooper Rush. I think that's the reason J.C. Jackson did not play for the Chargers today. I think there's a real shot J.C. Jackson could get traded to Dallas for Cooper Rush, because I'm pretty sure Kellen Moore, the former Cowboys offensive coordinator, is in L.A. now. I could see that being the case. I said before, I thought the Jets should trade for Cooper Rush, trade Bryce Hall. Not saying that's a great trade for the Cowboys. Would have made sense. Ugh. Let's see what other things you guys are saying in the chat. Eddie says, Zach's audible into the teeth of the team 3 plays in had Romo laughing. Yeah, where it was like, it had to be the first drive where it's like, oh, yeah, audible. We're going to run to the right. And you're looking at it, it's like, okay, you got 3 blockers on that side, and there's like 5 defenders. Like, why are you running at that? Kev Chatta says, Ryan, you're not criticizing Salah enough. He should be fired. No, Salah deserves his blame too. But I think what happened was Woody gave the everyone's safe for this year. Rodgers went down in the first game. No one's getting fired. I think that's probably what wound up happening. And like when Zach Wilson's your only option at quarterback, he's got to be able to at least like push for a quarterback at this point. You can't just say, hey, I want to trot Zach out there again. Because if the Jets get a top 5 pick, there's a good shot you're not coming back. Like, it's a scary thing to think about. I don't want to hit reset. I like Salah a lot. Mitch says, I can see it already. Jets draft a quarterback, then trade Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings. Right? Like, I want to see Aaron Rodgers as Jet, but like, damn. I don't know what to do. Jet Engine says endless trash. So our buddy that did the throw video, I don't think we're going to hear much from him, Jet Engine. There's a lot of hope in that analysis last week, but I don't see it. Joe says, Ryan, you don't pass on Caleb or Drake May. I don't think the Jets are going to get the top 1 or 2 pick. That's more so my concern. I think the team is too good where we'll wind up lucking into a few wins. I don't think we'll be there. If you can get either one of them, I think you just have to get one. I just think you're going to wind up looking at quarterback 3 through 5. And I don't know if that's necessarily worth it at that point. If you could trade out to a team that really wants that quarterback, unless you deem you like him. Christopher says, honestly, do you think Salah needs to go? He hasn't done anything, to be honest. It's hard to separate Zach Wilson from Robert Salah because without Zach Wilson in there, this team looks good. But Robert Salah's win career is predicated on literally Zach Wilson's play. It just sucks. Really sucks. Deoful says, don't trade for a quarterback. We're not a Super Bowl team with this offensive line. Play out with Zach Wilson and take a top offensive lineman in the first round. You must protect Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that's where O'Leary was kind of talking to. It's like, hey, you got to, no matter who it is at the top of the draft, whatever the top tackle is, take the top tackle on your board. Make it happen. Set it and forget it. Offensive line will figure it out. Maybe they determine they can bring Becton back on some kind of lesser deal instead of having to use the franchise tag, because you can't justify franchise tagging Mekhi Becton at this point. He has not played well enough. And then you're rolling into next season with Laken Tomlinson and AVT as your only guys. Tippmann, I guess, probably moves over to center at some point. Stuff sucks. Kev Chatta says, so where we see in Hopkins, we had no real backup core. So how are we seeking Hopkins? I don't know what you're saying, Kev. Sorry. Oreo says we deserve the ass kicking coming to us. 4-game losing streak incoming. I don't want to hear you ever say you want to see Zach play again. I feel so bad for Garrett. We don't deserve this. Yeah, I don't want to see Zach take another snap. I'll be honest. There's no enthusiasm from me going into any game where Zach Wilson's our starting quarterback. It's purely me hoping that we could overcome Zach being our starting quarterback. That's what's so jacked up about this. Aaron says, I don't see a team we can beat with a number 2 quarterback or with number 2 at quarterback. I agree. I look at our schedule and there's no one that I feel confident saying the Jets should at least be like a coin flip on. Blitzkrieg says, not sure plausible at quarterback, stuck with Zach for now. No point in trading unless they get us into the playoffs. First, third, offensive lineman, wide receiver. That's where it feels like it's headed. And I wonder if Douglas just flat out told the team that to begin with. Like, hey, look, these 2 picks are going to be used for these 2 positions. We need Zach to work out. We need to do whatever we can to make it work out. I don't know how you don't call Matt Ryan at this point and at least have him, available for when Zach has these types of games where nothing is going. And like Matt Ryan looked awful in Indianapolis. He's a statue. I just don't know what you do. Trading away picks for a team that doesn't look like they can even like do anything, but it's also like a team that's rolled over. That's what it looks like. This team doesn't look like the fiery team I saw in the summer. And I feel like they just lost all hope the minute Rodgers went down. C-Biz says they waited till the end of the third to throw, wound up being the only good drive. So I think that's because they don't trust Zach more than anything else. I think the inability to get the ball down the field and the criticism they took of Breece Hall only having 4 touches. You want to feed Breece enough. He's got to do something, right? Well, guess what? We fed Breece Hall. He didn't do jack shit. So I don't know. I feel like you got to throw, but at the same time, like every throw is just holding the ball too long. Every throw is just getting sailed. Like every now and then you get like a really nice throw. Like he had that one throw that Romo was saying was, wow, this is like when Zach's at his best. He knifed through, cover 2 and like to the throw to Lazard on the right-hand side. Really nice throw. There was a few throws that were nice that like got dropped also. But you can't tell me that Zach Wilson is going to continue to put up 10 points per week and the Jets are going to do anything of value in the NFL. Got to move on. Got to move on. Andy BWR says, where the hell is our running game? You can't have a running game when no one fears your quarterback because literally you just sell out against the run. RC Code says, Rodgers 100 years old. We can't bank on a full season from him next year either. It's a mess. Yeah, it is. And look, it was a gamble I was willing to take. Gamble I was willing to take in the offseason. Didn't think Rodgers would miss anything. I thought we'd get average play from him. And then the Achilles pops. And it's like, all right, well, shit. Now we got Zach. You can't have a backup plan when you trade your asset and all your money for Aaron Rodgers. Just sucks, right? Like it's just we're snake bitten. That's what it feels like. Rashawn says, flush number 2, stop the stink. That's a great line. If it wasn't so anti-Jets, it should be on a shirt. Stop the stink is pretty good, though. RW says, how bad is Boyle that he doesn't even get a sniff in this game? He was literally brought in as a practice squad quarterback. He's not good. He's here purely for the situation where Zach gets hurt and you have to field another quarterback. I think the Jets have just punted on the quarterback position to this point. Maybe they wanted to wait and say, hey, let's see if Zach can exercise the demons against this particular team. Now I think they will reconsider quarterback at this point. I think you can clearly look and say, like, Zach doesn't have it. Last week, you couldn't say that. Last week, you could at least say, hey, the offensive line got outmatched. And no one could do anything. Jay Spector says, Zach has no football IQ. It sucks, too, because it's like he's a hardworking kid. He's got some athletic talent, both in the legs and in the arms. But for whatever reason, whether it's the Jets' fault or Zach's fault, we just can't figure it out. Hemi says, no gas, all breaks at this juncture. That's what it feels like. John Nolte says, Indy has a great offensive line and Matt Ryan would get sacked. He's a statue like Flacco. Yeah, that's why you kind of want someone mobile. I really wanted like Minshew, But now that Richardson is hurt, they're probably not moving on from him. I feel like it's got to be Carson Wentz, someone who's at least like kind of mobile. RC Code's 12 carries for 18 yards or something. Ugly. Yeah, Breece Hall. Really putting the screws to my fantasy team right now. Half my fantasy teams had Garrett Wilson because I was like, oh, Rodgers, he's going to have a 1,500-yard season. Well, Rodgers went down. Garrett Wilson, I should just cut him. I shouldn't even have him on my roster right now. Breece Hall, aside from week 1, hasn't done anything. Crippling my team right now. Ronald Perry says RG3 said he would play. Could you imagine if he came out of retirement and did anything of value? No thanks. Stay on the sideline. Gabriel says Zach is just not it as the quarterback. They cannot continue to put him on the field. There has been no growth. I saw some growth, but you have to look really closely. No growth today. Mr. Bucks Nation says, tough game, man. Time to bring in Carson Wentz. Yeah, see, look, Mr. Bucks Nation, Bucks YouTuber, you can go check him out. Even he's saying Carson Wentz. You got to do something. Give this team some kind of hope. Got to do something. Sean, we deserve better. King says that line will not look the same next year. They're going to put big money in the O-line. They tried to. The last 3 off seasons, Douglas has tried. He tried to get Joe Tooney. He tried to get Jack Conklin. He tried to get Orlando Brown. All 3 of them offered less money by other teams, and the Jets didn't have a quarterback yet. We didn't have Aaron Rodgers, so Brown decided not to sign with us. It's like, that shit sucks. Like, how much more would you have had to give up to get Rodgers at that point, to the point where you would have been able to sign Brown? I don't know the answer to that. But they got to spend money on the free agent side of things, or at least draft well. I don't know. You can throw as much money as you want, but you can't figure it out. Miami scored 70 points. The offense is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be an easy thing to do in the NFL. They manufacture points like crazy. The rules are so heavily skewed towards the offense. And the Jets, for the last 15 years, have not been able to figure it out. Jerome says we need a group hug. Yeah. We need a virtual hug right now. Luis says, I'm so done with this team's mismanagement of everything. I'm a Finns fan now, and at least I have hope of some competence from the management team.
That's it. You're out of here.
Sorry, Luis. Not about that. Don't want you to be a Dolphins fan. But I understand if you can't root for the Jets right now. John Nolte says, in year 3, the coach can't be at the podium boasting about improved footwork by Zach. No, he's dancing around. The footwork from Robert Saleh at the podium is better than Zach Wilson's footwork in the pocket. Like, he's dancing around trying to like not throw Zach under the bus, and I see what he's trying to do, and there's certain questions that you have to answer a certain way as the head coach, and I'll go back and I'll watch the post game on it and see exactly what was said, but like, this is just not good. This is everything that the Jets didn't want to see happen. You were hoping to avoid all these questions this year and hide Zach in the background for an entire season, and they had the rug pulled out from under him, and they just don't know what to do or say. And it's just like, hey, just like see if you can give him some confidence, because like we have him the rest of the way out. Maybe Douglas said, we're not trading for anyone. We've made our bed. We're going to sleep in it. So even though Zach shits the bed, hopefully it's a king-size bed and you can sleep on the other side. Maybe that's the way you kind of work it. Blitz Crew. Remember when we were voting on new New York Sack Exchange names? 0 sacks today. Did we have 1 last week? I mean, this pass rush can't get anything going. Now, it doesn't help that they're able to run 20 some odd times on the New York Jets. This could have been a game where Mac Jones didn't throw at all, and they would have been fine. Whitehead blew. It looks like Whitehead blew the coverage. Samini says it was between Whitehead and Quincy Williams. Romo said it was between Sauce and Whitehead. I tend to think it's probably Whitehead based on the way he bailed on the play. And it was like, shit. Didn't expect this guy who hasn't had a touchdown in 3 years to have a touchdown. Fastest reception he's ever had in 63 catches is against the Jets. The Pats are supposed to be bad, and we still lost. The Pats, I think the perception of the Pats was they would be a lot worse. My thoughts heading into the game were the Patriots are a better team than their record indicated because of how they played Philadelphia and how they played Miami. So I wouldn't call New England a bad team. I would call them a competitive team with low expectations. The Jets, on the other hand, thought we were a talented team without the quarterback. Can't even lean on it. Joe says, Ryan, pull up the top 10 lines. Most of them have 4 or 5 drafted starters. Philadelphia does not. I know Philadelphia does not. But drafted starters, that's rounds 1 through 7. That's, I would say most people probably draft most of the players on their team. Like you'll have undrafted free agents and guys you pick up off the waiver wire, but most of your team is going to be made up of your picks, I would think. King says, where does Rodgers' money go? The give up go. Where do Rodgers' money... King, I think you've been drinking too much. Florida Jet fan, Mike White played today, 100%, 2 for 2, 67 yards and a touchdown in limited action. It feels like every other team's offense is just can manufacture yards and points. I'm watching highlights of Miami, and they're just running fucking open. Like, it's not all on their speed. It's clearly on scheming and playmaking, and McDaniel is better than Hackett in that respect. Now, Miami's weapons, I would say, are better than ours. I thought our running backs would be able to hold their own with everyone, but at 2 yards a carry, I don't know how you even argue that. C-Biz says, Finns have a coordinator. Some of these plays are so creative. Yep. I agree. Sky's the limit. Dolphin fan here says, they got to replace him and go sign a free agent. He's talking about the quarterback, Zach Wilson. I think you have to just, I don't know if it's bench him or just flat out cut him. Like, if you're going to make a move for someone that's of some kind of value, I don't know if you can have Zach on the team. If you go with someone like a Matt Ryan, it probably like punts the situation where it's like, oh, we're going with Zach, but we have this backup option just in case. Someone who knows how to hand the ball off and get the ball to a playmaker. Ricardo, breaking news, Jets signed Tom. Let's go Jets. I'll be honest, I don't want to see Tom in Jets uniform. Carlos says, Ryan, man, by far, probably the worst feeling, me as a Jets fan since 2015, but I feel for all my Jet fans, 30 to 40 years, this is like vomit being asked to regurgitate again. Ugh, we got the Chiefs next. Yeah, we're going to get throttled by the Chiefs. Don't even show up. Kaz, Ryan, what's next for us? Salah is blaming everyone else. That's how you lose the locker room. If you don't call a spade, and you don't call out the bad quarterback play or the bad offensive play calling, you're going to lose the other 52 guys. I have to watch Salah's press conference, but man, it is bad. Robert says, JD and Salah will both be gone by end of season. Don't agree with the decision, but anyone who thinks Woody will do differently must not have been a fan for many years. I don't want to get rid of Douglas. I'm very, very adamant about that. I think he is a good GM, and I think we've brought in talented players, and I think the scheming has been bad. I think there has been, a player or two that you can nitpick on. They thought Zach was the guy. He wasn't. The quarterbacks that went after him, Mac Jones, do you watch Mac Jones today and say, oh, that's the quarterback I want for the Jets? Probably not. Justin Fields, you watch him and say, oh, that's the quarterback I want for the Jets? Probably not. Trey Lance, watch quarterback. Oh, that's the guy I want for the Jets. No. There was no quarterback outside of Trevor Lawrence in that draft, as it turns out. None worth taking. Hindsight, you keep Sam, you trade down, you get Micah Parsons, and you keep some other picks, or you add extra picks, and you see what happens. But, man, Jets are in a rough spot. Aaron says, where to Rodgers the money give up go? That's not a sentence, but that's okay. Rodgers' money just hits our salary cap. It is what it is. Unless he retires next year, we're getting hit with all that money. RW says, now the Broncos game is a must-win just for the potential embarrassment value. I think you have to bring a quarterback in this week and give them 2 weeks before the Denver game to try and understand the offense. Because if your game plan is like, oh, we're going to play Zach until the bye week, season's over. I feel like the season's over right now. I don't have a lot of hope. Patrick. Should we tank to draft a new quarterback to play under Rodgers next year? I don't want to tank, but if you keep starting Zach Wilson, you're going to end up in that position. So maybe that's a good thing. And you just say, hey, look, Rodgers, if Zach can't do it, we got to pull the trigger on a young gun. We want you here, and we're going to put all the pieces around it. If you can tell me you're going to trade assets or bring guys in prior to the draft where you say, okay, we got a good offensive line. We're feeling good about that. And then you want to make the pick at quarterback? Fine. I don't know, but do you really want this regime to take that pick at quarterback? I'm fine with Douglas taking a crack at quarterback. And I like Saleh. But man, I question if the culture is the right one here. Not the culture, the developmental things that you need from the quarterback spot. I don't know the right move. Just frustrated. William says, I like JD as a person, but kind of thinks he needs to commit seppuku to save his honor. That's when you fall on your sword. I don't want to see it. Douglas says, Carson Wentz, nothing to lose. That, and I think Carson Wentz is the most exciting option we could bring in that's not going to cost us a lot. Kaz, Ryan, how do you feel about the shift in the O-line? I think it was a good move. I think it was the right move. I think as we let them play together, it'll get a little bit better too, but I'm fine with it. I think that was the right thing to do. Lucas says, how could you blame the defense at all today? My grandma could read a defense better than Zach Wilson. He should be cut. What do you think? Yeah, you can't blame the defense. Defense gave up 13 points today. Mekhi Becton gave up the other 2. Deo Full. Thank you for the super chat. Says, my big take against Joe Douglas is how he restructured a lot of deals this offseason. Many of his guys would be potential cuts as of now. Lakin, Lawson, CJ Uzama. We need money for O-line if someone good hits free agency. Yeah, you're going to see the Jets clear some space. I do think Lakin Tomlinson's gone after this year. I think CJ's gone after this year. I think Lawson's gone after this year. Jets don't have a crazy ton of cap space from what I was looking at, but I'll have to go back and revisit. Maybe Rodgers frees up more money, pushes more into another year, but then you're kicking the can down the line. What do you do? Zachary says, Sam Darnold greater than Zach Wilson. Yep. Liam says, trade Kirk for Zach. If they would take Zach as let's see what this young gun could have. We have the ability to either tank with Zach and get a really high draft pick, or he turns it around in Minnesota and everything's hunky-dory, and he's got, this good offensive line in front of him, and he's got this stud wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, and, it is what it is. We're going to let Kirk walk anyway. I feel like Kirk's the play. It just sucks that you have Rodgers here, because if I was trading for Kirk, I'd want Kirk for, multiple years. I don't want to have to trade for Kirk and have him walk at the end of the year. What's that worth to us? Is it a third-round pick? I would give up a third this year to be able to watch competent football the rest of the way out and let Kirk walk at the end. Aaron says we won't have to tank. It'll take care of itself. Yep. The unit says Geno Smith tearing it up again. I don't even want to hear that. Edward says tough schedule going forward. Yeah. Miami looks like a juggernaut. Those two are going to be easily chalked up as losses. TF Breezy, 49ers traded 3 firsts for Trey Lance and admitted they fucked up. Why can't the Jets do the same with Zach Wilson? Because they also found Brock Purdy. The Jets didn't find a Brock Purdy. That's the big piece of this puzzle. If the Jets had a young quarterback that they drafted with the last pick in the draft and he was crushing it and running the offense the right way, they would have pulled Zach Wilson. John says, Sean Payton kind of looking like a yam bag right now. Yeah, the yam bag's going to throttle us, though. Season says, stop blaming Becton for the safety. Zach held the ball too long. Go back and look at the play. Becton got pushed straight back, and that was a sack. That's on Becton. I'm sorry. There's plenty of other plays that you can blame Zach Wilson on for holding the ball too long. Plenty of other sacks, plenty of other late throws, where he got pressure, but it wasn't really the offensive line's fault. That's on Becton. I'm sorry. He got pushed straight back, and Zach, I think it was just at the top of his drop back. I'll have to look at it again. I did post the every throw. I would say have yourself a barf bag when you're sitting there ready to watch it, though. It's not good. Mr. Malgul, can't believe we drafted a non-need in the first round. That was still a reach. We don't even play the guy. The tough part is what other players there that would have helped you this year? Because all the tackles were gone. Top 5 tackles were off the board. You'd have to really reach for someone else after that. Maybe you argue Jackson Smith and the Jigba. Maybe that gives you some kind of life. But even still, at that point, he's been hurt. He hasn't looked very good. And we don't have a quarterback, so it's not like that's really going to matter. RW says, sucking to get the quarterback does not work. The quarterback position is the most difficult to play and most difficult to evaluate coming out of college. I would rather give up a bunch of picks to go up and get a quarterback on a really good team than tank and have that sort of mindset of being a bad team and all the bad stuff that comes with it. I feel like highly drafted quarterbacks just don't work out. So I shouldn't say that because it's probably the majority of quarterbacks in this league are probably top draft picks anyway. I'm just frustrated. Zachary says Blake Bortles is better than Zach Wilson. Yes, he is. Kaz says, Ryan, why no Jeremy Rucker? That kid has promise. Can you explain, please? No, I can't explain. I've been calling for Rucker for the last 2 weeks. He looked good against Buffalo. He looked good in training camp. There's no reason why this kid shouldn't be seeing the field, especially against a Patriot team that I feel like him, of all people, being a Jet fan, would have the most juice to go against. Jimmy Jet says, y'all laughed at me when I said keep Sam, Matt, Ryan, and Greenbean. Look, with hindsight, yes, right move. In the moment, I don't know how you don't make that change. You had to decide on Sam Darnold's 5th-year option, so maybe the actual decision was, hey, we're not going to exercise Zach's 5th-year option or Sam's 5th-year option. We're not going to take Zach Wilson. You trade down, and then you get either Jamar Chase or a Penei Sewell, or you get some other Micah Parsons, something like that. You take the 49ers trade and move down. At the time, I endorsed taking a quarterback. And without the benefit of hindsight, I would still make that same decision to move on from Sam. But when I'm looking at quarterbacks, I'm saying, man, what quarterback can we get that's a backup quarterback around the league? And I look at Sammy D, and I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to get Sammy D back. I do like me some Sam. Kwang Lu says, put Tim Boyle in, better than Zach. Man, I don't want to see that either. Shane, Ryan doesn't know ball and should follow a team that wins because he can't see why a team is losing. Why is a team losing, Shane? Tell me. Because I've already said Zach Wilson fucking sucks. Tell me what I don't know. Tell me what I don't know. Vito, Ryan, go back and look. Zach had Brees wide open and missed it. That's why he got a safety, not because of Becton. It's on Zach. I give up on the kid. I understand he had Brees, and I think he had Garrett. There were two players open. I watched that. But, like, he's ready to throw. He's just getting sacked, like, immediately. That safety, look, you want to put it on Zach? I'm fine with that. I'm not dying on that fucking hill. Just sucks. Brandon, tank for Caleb. I don't want to tank. I don't want to tank. Really don't want to tank. Scott, Zach was bad, but who are you going to get to replace him? Who? There is no quarterback who wants to play behind this offensive line. There's got to be someone out there. There's only 32 positions in the whole world. Someone's got to want to play a quarterback for the New York Jets. Jameis Winston came in for Carr today. Not Mariota. Minshew came in for Richardson. Actually started today. Came in last week for Richardson. We need an offensive line for sure. But the quarterback's got to be able to make the defense honest. And right now, the Jets are losing because of Zach Wilson. So Shane says, Salah is a fucking joke. He's a cheerleader. I respect you, Ryan, but wake up. Salah has to go. How many hall passes does he get? I mean, I'm not trying to give Salah a hall pass. I just think the ownership has told the team that the Jets coaching staff is not going to be held responsible for Zach Wilson because of the loss of Aaron Rodgers. That's what I think we're seeing. I'm flat out calling, a spade a spade. If you think that's wrong, I'm fine with you being mad at Salah because I get it. But I do think they were given a pass because of that. Oreo says, don't want this team to give up and resort to being the get me right game for the other teams. If the Jets get blown out these next three, Salah will lose the team by the time they play the Giants. It's over, Ryan. If the team gets consistently blown out, like if we're losing these games by small margins like this game we lost by 5 points. We lost because of Zach. If we continue to do this and Salah keeps pulling Zach's footwork was good and, we just didn't give him much time and he's blaming everyone else other than Zach, that's a very serious problem and Salah does deserve to get canned if that's the case. I don't want to see him lose the locker room. And that's where I fear we're headed if we don't bring in a quarterback. At least some kind of competition. You can't turn to Tim Boyle in this situation today. You got to have some type of quarterback in there to at least say okay, well, hey, we're gonna continue with Zach next week, but this week we just can't do it. I just don't know who you bring in. Matt Ryan doesn't tickle my pickle. Greg, let's not gloss over the fact that Randall Cobb could have had a legitimate opportunity to reel in the game-winning touchdown. Just went right through his hands. Damn. Yeah, if we're relying on a Hail Mary on the last play of the game to win the game, it's because other stuff went wrong other than Randall Cobb dropping the game-winning touchdown. But yeah, I'm sitting there thinking wow, the Jets almost won this game and Randall Cobb just let it drop through his fingers. This is just the epitome of Jets fanhood right here. You finally get the quarterback knocked out. Oh, you can win against the Patriots. Oh, a sure-handed Randall Cobb drops the Hail Mary that was deflected. It wasn't some jump ball crazy thing. It was no, the ball smacked him in the hands after getting deflected. It was not moving as fast as it was when it came down initially. Just sucks. Rashawn Joshi says, Taysom Hill. I would enjoy watching Taysom Hill. I really would. If they would trade Taysom Hill to the Jets. I don't know what for. I would at least enjoy watching that. RC84 says, I got to watch that game, and then the Chiefs putting up 31 with Taylor Swift in the box. I must have been a bad dude to be reincarnated as a Jet fan. Yeah, I don't know whose Cheerios I pissed in, but someone was yo, Jets can't win while Ryan's a fan. That's what it feels like. Although it feels like everyone in this chat, there's not one person old or young enough that has seen a successful Jet season consistently. Sucks. Zachary says, Ryan is greater than Zach Wilson. I appreciate that. Scott says, I'm sick of that crap. I agree. I agree. Josh says, the fact that Arizona is beating Dallas makes me sick. Now I'm afraid to watch the 4 o'clock games. Thank you for that, Josh. I am afraid Arizona should not be the team they are right now. They should be a bad team. I think this is more Dallas overlooking Arizona than anything else. Maybe they'll get it right. I honestly think Kyler Murray's an option for the Jets, and I don't like Kyler Murray, like, at all. I think there's a reason. He's going to get traded somewhere. I think Minnesota is probably his best bet. End him up somewhere in a dome somewhere. Man, Jets just suck. Kev Chatta says, Cobb slipped on the turf. Blame everything on the turf. Shake my head. He slipped on the turf. It was wet. I don't care. We have excuses for days. Just done with it. Catch the fucking ball. GVH says, Zach is trash, but my goodness, when do we need to see other running backs and wide receivers get a chance? It's on coaching. Belichick knows Jones is trash, so insert new punt returner. Not sure I understand insert new punt returner, but I mean, I guess you're talking about Peppers because he has a better shot at returning the ball further. I think that's what you're talking about because Peppers hadn't returned a kick in a while. Oreo says, so honestly, what's the point of this season, Ryan? I mean, we're not making the playoffs with Zach, let's be honest. Our schedule is no cakewalk, so they play hard to lose replica of last season. I don't know where to hang any hope on this season. That's the thing. Like, I'm not going to see anything out of Brees or Garrett Wilson while Zach Wilson is the quarterback. There's nothing that Zach Wilson could show me this year that would make me say, oh, let's have him next year for a backup. I don't think it's going to happen. If we had Rodgers all season and Zach was the backup, I would have said, okay, he's the backup for next year. That's fine. I don't know what you do. Daniel says, how can you expect average play from Rodgers? Before last year, he was the reigning 2-time MVP. I was hoping for average play. It's because of the broken thumb, and people said Rodgers was going downhill. I wasn't even hoping for MVP caliber play. I was hoping for, like, this guy's going to play every game, and we're going to get baseline, not shitty quarterback play. That would have been enough for me. I'm asking to not suck. Like, just don't be dead last. That's all I'm asking for. B West says, aside from Zach, I think the sad truth is this team is not that good. Most of their wins last year were against backup quarterbacks. Yes, the 5-1 streak from Zach last year was fool's gold because it was against backup quarterbacks. This defense is legit, though. And if you can have opportunities where at least you're in the lead, now you get to pin your ears back as pass rushers. But the Jets haven't been in the lead in, like, any game this season. I don't think we've held a lead to start a game. I don't think. Maybe did we score 3 points on Buffalo before they scored on us? I have to go back and look. But yeah, this team is giving you a lot to think about. Craig comes in and says, I have to watch replay on NFL Premium. I skipped to the end and I've watched only 3 passes, the first, last, and one that set up and the one that set it up. 3 perfect passes, small sample. Now I'll watch the rest. Craig, I love you. I appreciate the $10 super chat, but holy hell, you're going to get me all sorts of fired up if you start telling me Zach Wilson has a good game after you watch the every throw video. Watch how the whole game was called. Because you're gonna make me lose my mind. Ugh. Tank for Caleb. RC84. Rodgers gets 2 touchdowns this game. Shadow, the field is a mess. Paint wasn't even dried in the end zone. This field looked horrible week 1. We said it when we were on sitting there in the stands. I'm like, this field, they haven't even come out to do like announcements, let alone the coin flip. And this field looks awful. This game before the game, the field looked terrible. There's footprints all over the place. This is a sad excuse for a field. You got $2 billion or multi-billionaires as owners of the Jets and Giants, and you guys can't figure out how to paint a fucking field? Figure it the fuck out. Jesus Christ. Give us something to at least our paint is inside the lines. We can't even do that right. Fuck. My 2-year-old could color in a color. I don't even know a 2-year-old. I got a 16-month-old. Shay can color inside the lines better than the Jets paint crew can paint lines. Wayne. We should have cut Zach and kept White. He was more promising. That's the fucking worst when you'd have to. So the reason we didn't do it is because we were paying Zach $10 million this year regardless. So you cut him, you pay him $10 million, then you also pay Mike White whatever money he was looking to make. I don't know. Just sucks. Josh, Kirk Cousins, they're 0-3. He's on an expiring contract. What are your thoughts? Because I can't watch another week of Zach. If you can get Kirk here for less than a first-round pick, like if you could give up the third and a conditional pick next year, yes, do it every damn day. Absolutely. Duncan says 62-yard field goal in Arizona. That's a beast of a kick. Kelvin, I would take Carson at this point. I was never on board for that. I would take Carson too. I cannot sit and watch Zach. I don't like Carson Wentz, but at least you can be done with him at the end of the year. Give me something to root for. I don't want to have a top 5 pick. I want to be at least excited and hopeful in each game, and I'm not feeling that way for the rest of the season with Zach at quarterback. King Kingdom says, Rodgers on a bad ACL, MCL, ABC, whichever would be better than Zach the Crack. Yep. That feels about right. Anthony says, let's do something crazy. Get Bailey Zappi from the Pats practice squad. That would have been the play before this week, right? Like, at least get some inside knowledge on the dude, on the team you're about to go up against. I don't know the move. I would love to get Kirk in here. It kind of brings my channel full circle because I was the one that said in my first video on this channel that Kirk Cousins is going to be a New York Jet. So if it happens, we'll love to see it. Sky's the Limit says, Kirk is playing good football. Their defense is trash. Yeah. And if you can just have, like, this defense continue to play what it is, and Kirk comes in and plays to, like, 85% of what he's doing in Minnesota, Garrett Wilson's going to have a great year. This offense is going to move the ball. Craig says, if I watch the rest and I'm wrong, I'll be honest. I admit openly to everyone. I'll admit it openly to everyone. I'll go one pass at a time and I'll be honest, so we'll see. Craig, I appreciate that. I want to hear your analysis because it was the optimistic side of your take that got me hopeful for this week. So if you can at least, maybe you could give me some kind of optimism. I'm not there on Zach though. I'm out. I'm sorry. TF Breezy, at this point, I'm taking anybody. Salmon Jets, I'm just done with Sal, honestly. He has no ounce of offense in him. I want to see him not have to put his tail between his legs because it feels like he's walking on eggshells when they have to talk about Zach Wilson. He doesn't want to say something that the news media is going to fucking annihilate him for. They could at least go back, reassess, and see afterwards. John says Mahomes is hurt. Is he actually like hurt, or is he like, hobbled? Realistic Jeff fans, Ryan won't blame JD at all. It's insane. You can blame Joe Douglas. I think he's better than all the GMs we've had that I've been alive for. So like, there's that. Like just because the on-field play sucks, I don't feel like we've had bad players. Like I will take this team 110% over any team other than 2010 Jets for the last 20 years. And the 2010 Jets, you knew that was going to be a fizzle and pop kind of year. Like it was not a real sustainable thing. I think Joe Douglas is a good GM. I really do. I think it would be a mistake to get rid of him. You can blame him all you want. He made the Zach pick and it did not work out. He made the Becton pick. It did not work out. And maybe it just says something that this guy's the best we've ever had. And maybe he's just bad. I don't know. I don't think so. That's not the belief I have. I think Joe Douglas is a good GM. I would rather get rid of Saleh before getting rid of Douglas. Scott says, I don't care about Wentz's personality issues. The great Ryan Clark once says, anyone would be cool, would be a pretty cool guy after playing with Zach Wilson. Yeah, I think the rest of the team's kind of feeling that way too. They'll take whoever it is. Oreo says, what's the silver lining, Ryan? As a content creator who I watch religiously, give me hope before I unsubscribe and resubscribe next year when we have Rodgers. Give us fans hope. LOL. Play GM for me. Oreo, I would hope you wouldn't have to unsubscribe because every subscription helps. But as a content creator, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass. I came here to try and give you the positive side of things because ESPN's always going to give you the doom and gloom. But I'll be honest, right now, I'm having a really hard time being optimistic right now. Like, it does feel like it's the quarterback that's the issue. It feels like the play calling is very close second, but I don't know if that's because of the quarterback or if the quarterback is also playing poorly because of the play calling. It's kind of a chicken or the egg thing for me. And I know Hackett's not going anywhere because Rodgers coming back next year. So at that point, it just has to be the quarterback. Make a move. I hope you don't unsubscribe and then resubscribe, though. That would make me hurt. Jay Claw says the no-touch sack and throw to the ground would have got Zach benched on any other team. Yeah. Those didn't bother me so much. I mean, he definitely felt the heat when he went down. That was a little bit of a funky one for sure. That was probably like hearing footsteps. The throw into the ground, I don't know. I think he was just trying to get to the next play. I'm fine with the quarterback throwing for an incompletion if the play is broken. The self-sack was frustrating. Mars Blackmount says, Ryan, how do you think Sandor Sanders would do on the Jets? I have to look at where he's actually ranked just because he's like a super hype train right now. Not to mention, didn't Deion say he's like going to go number one, and if he's not going number one, he's going to return back to school? So, like, I don't think he's going to be an option for the Jets either way. I still think May and Caleb Williams are going to be the top two quarterbacks taken. Damian says, did you see Woody firing Saleh and Douglas after signing Rodgers? No, you can't sign Rodgers and then pull the plug because Rodgers is here next year. And Rodgers came here, unless Rodgers says, hey, on second thought, I'm good. I'm going to retire. I'm going to leave $50 million on the table. I'm good. I really think Saleh and Douglas are back here next year, whether we like it or not, because of the Rodgers contract. It bought them 2 years. It sucks. Really sucks. Joe says, anybody want to sit Zach a year and pick up $23 million option? Zach was done when they signed Rodgers. No, you can't pick up his option. He's done. Craig says, be back when I'm informed. Facts, not opinions. Let's go. Juan says, I would put in my local paper boy instead of Zach. Dude, could be like anyone at quarterback would play better than Zach right now. Cuca Lake says, Wentz being unemployed might make him a better teammate. Maybe he's like had a slice of humble pie. Dude got bounced from 3 teams in 3 years after being like an MVP caliber candidate in Philadelphia with Joe Douglas. I feel like if Joe Douglas is not signing Carson Wentz, it's a reason. But Wentz is definitely the most talented quarterback out there that the Jets could bring in that won't cost them a crazy ton of money. I'd like to see it at this point. Who gives a shit? I cannot watch Zach Wilson again. Ronald Perry says, real talk, knew it was over after the first series. That's where it felt. Like 3 and out real quick. This game felt over. Jay Claus says, I think Ryan will be the most positive creator we see. We will see. I'm not super positive right now, so I'm impressed that if this is the most positive content creator that you're seeing, that's saying something because I don't want to see Zach anymore. Randall says, Zach is fine. They still need to fix offensive line and swap Ruckert as a blocking tight end to help that line instead of playing Conklin and Uzama. Because of that, the line can't even run. I do think Ruckert needs to be in there. at this point. I think he provides more talent from a receiving standpoint and more talent from a blocking standpoint than either Conklin or Uzama. And these valuable reps now will help him in the future. So I would get him out there. The offensive line, I do like this current iteration of the offensive line, and I think as they play together a little bit more, you might see better results. But I think Zach Wilson is first and foremost the issue here. Ant Slasher says, the way Mahomes' foot went, it's nasty. I don't want to see him knocked out at all. Mahomes still plays good on one foot. RC84, Jets have officially made a call to the Vikings in which both teams showed mutual interest in dealing Kirk Cousins to New York. Vikings are now 0-3, looking to hit a reset. RC84, is there any truth to this? If there is, I would love to know who said that. But I do think there's going to be a lot of speculation this week about Kirk Cousins, if I had to guess. Mark says, same risk with Rodgers next year without a young one sitting behind him. I think the Jets do bring in a quarterback and have a young guy sitting behind him, but I don't think it's going to be a top pick. I would feel very surprised. Brian Sanderson, CBS Anderson breaking. Jets have officially made a call to the Vikings. Both teams showed mutual interest. It would make a lot of fucking sense to get Kirk Cousins. See, Saul, there's only one possible way to save the season. Vikings are 0-3. Make the offer for Cousins that they can't refuse. He will waive his no-trade clause. I think he'll waive it. I just don't. Are you going to give up the first? Is that what it's going to be? Jesse says, Ryan, turn it in later to Jake Asman. Watch his head explode. See, my head was exploding during the game. After the game, it's not. We need a different quarterback. Kenneth says, Wentz never needs to play football again. He made $128 million during his 7 years in the NFL, not including endorsements. I'm sure he's fine sitting up in a deer stand up in North Dakota. Aaron says, stop the stink. Zachary says, y'all, the Vikings are not trading Cousins after 3 games. Stop. Statistically speaking, I think 0-3 is the point where no team has ever come back to make the playoffs. At least in a 17-game schedule, but that's only 2 years into it, I think. But I'm pretty sure 0-3, even in a 16-game schedule, was very slim to make the playoffs at that point. So they might be saying, like, okay, statistically, we're out. Like, let's get what we can get now. If the Jets are willing to give us the 1, maybe it's a third-round pick that becomes a 1 if the Jets make the playoffs or something stupid like that. Hey, Root-Tut says, I want tank. I really don't want to tank. I don't want to sit through another season like that. Jay says, not having Ruckert on the offense is Salah's stubbornness. We need a head coach, not a cheerleader. What would Parcells be doing right now? Is Salah the decision on Ruckert, or would Hackett have control over that? Either way, I do agree Ruckert needs to be on the field. Ryan Fitzgerald says, bad rushing attack, and I don't want to hear about battling a stacked box. Teams with limited passing attacks can still run the ball. Willie Colon said they loved running against stacked boxes in Pittsburgh. When you run against a stacked box, that's when you get wide open, long plays because there's no one back there. Once you make one guy miss in that front box, you're having your running back go against like a safety and a cornerback, and that's like it on the side. That's how Brees got his 83-yard run in week 1. So I understand wanting to run into a packed box, but you got to at least give them some fear that your quarterback might do something. G says it's less than 1% chance at 0-3. Frank says, Vikings have looked really good, though, even if they're 0-3. I could see them coming back. Butterstick says, I prefer Cousins over Rodgers. Call me crazy. I don't think it's that insane. It's just there's been so much love affair with Rodgers. I don't know how you don't have him for next season. Like, to some degree, it would almost make more sense to trade like Rodgers and Zach to Minnesota for Cousins, because the timeline for Cousins with this team makes a lot more sense, and Kirk and Rodgers, or Rodgers and Zach, in Minnesota makes far more sense in Minnesota. Ugh, I don't know. It's just dumb. Submission says, does Saleh get fired end of season? I really don't think Saleh's getting fired. I think because of the Rodgers trade, I think he's going to be here next season. I don't know. I don't know like what coaching staff you'd bring in where Rodgers feels comfortable, unless you're saying like, okay, Saleh's getting fired, Hackett's getting fired, everyone's going, and Rodgers says, all right, well, I'm done with this. I'll forego the rest of my money for you guys to just let me go at that point. That would suck. Jesse, we're going to run the table. Come on, Jets fans, 15-2. Jesse, stop it. Stop it. The White Sox Jets, not a fan of trading more draft picks for a Band-Aid. Just sign Wentz and tell Zach Wilson goodbye at the end of the season. I don't think Carson Wentz is going to get anyone excited. Cousins is like a, hey, we're not giving up on the season move. So, like, that's where I get some excitement out of this. I don't want to give up the first, though. That's my big thing. I'm fine with a conditional first. Like, if, like, really strong situations happen where it's like, okay, Jets make the AFC Championship game, then you get the first. I don't want to do the playoffs to give up the first, though, because that's going to be a good pick. Rashawn, if Kirk isn't winning with JJ, I don't trust him for anything past a one-year rental here. I don't know if the issue is Kirk Cousins. It seems like it's their defense that is the issue, not Kirk. See, Saul says, people don't seem to understand. You basically have no chance to make the playoffs at 0-3. Trade for Cousins and their left tackle, Darisaw. Didn't Darisaw get knocked out with a pretty serious injury last week? Or maybe he was missing time and his backup got knocked out. I don't know. I think Becton's our left tackle for the rest of the season. I think this current offensive line is going to be our offensive line for the rest of the season. And I'm actually like kind of okay with that. I think the O-line will get better as time goes on. I think these are our best five right now. Eddie, if the Jets go winless the rest of the way, Saleh is not getting fired. I don't think Saleh is going anywhere. Like Eddie says, like I think the Jets could actually go winless, and maybe not. Maybe that's like the doomsday situation. But I think because of the Rodgers injury, everyone's coming back. I really do. You could call that as like me seeing green, but I think if there had to be a sacrificial lamb, it's going to be Keith Carter on the offensive line more than anyone else, and I don't really agree with that. Brandon, Kirk is top 5 quarterback right now. What are you talking about? Yeah, I like Kirk. Revis, Cousins now. I can't watch 32nd ranked quarterback play for another season. Yeah. Jay Glazer of Fox Sports reports both Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan have reached out to the Jets about joining the team. The Jets declined. Yeah, I don't particularly want either one of them. Cousins is the one that or Carson Wentz is the one that's like intriguing, but I think I trust Douglas's assessment on him based on having been around him in Philadelphia. Or he goes, Ryan, I'm kidding. I wouldn't unsub. Just one of those things where you take out your frustration on your partner by accident. All love, baby. That's all right. I know where you're coming from. Zachary says, if we trade for Cousins, I will super chat you $100. You could hold me to it. Zachary, we trade for Cousins. It's going to be one of my biggest streams because I called Kirk Cousins 5 years ago. Geez. I'm going to hold you to it. Ron C. Cutting Zach is bad for business for Woody. I don't know. I think you could cut Zach right now, and it just is what it is. You just admit you made a mistake. Buttersticks. Is Zach done after this year? Which rookie quarterback should we draft to sit behind Rodgers? Yes, I do think Zach is done in New York. I think we're going to see him play more games here this season, but I don't think he's going to be here next year. As far as which quarterback will we draft to sit behind Rodgers, some quarterback beyond round 3. I don't think it's going to be before then. I think the Jets are going to wait and put all the assets into Rodgers, try to win a ring while he's here, and then have a backup that they have high hopes for. And then hopefully he can learn behind Rodgers. I think that's the route they're going to go. Eddie says, Miami is light years ahead of our crackhead, dilapidated offense. Yeah. As long as Tua stays healthy, that team is filthy. I mean, 70 points today is unfucking real. The Jets are going to get to the bye week and not have that many points. Jesse says, Ryan, run to the liquor store, grab a bottle of Jameson. Yeah, I may need to start drinking. We're at the 1 hour and 45-minute mark, and this is just frustration. Pure frustration. Glazer has been wrong often with his Jets report, says Eddie. Frank says, trade a sixth for Jameis and throw the ball. Can't win the Super Bowl with any of the quarterbacks here. Let the young guys develop for Rodgers next year. Can't do that with Zach. Yeah, I would take 30 for 30 Jameis at this point. And, I don't like Jameis. I'm not a fan. I don't think the maturity's there. But at the very least, I'd rather get some entertaining fucking football. That's honestly where it comes from. Where it comes down to. C-Biz says, Jefferson inflates Cousins' numbers a lot. He's not good when the O-line struggles. I think Garrett Wilson can do some of the stuff that Jefferson does. Now, I'm not saying Garrett Wilson's going to be the best wide receiver, best player, best non-quarterback in the NFL like Jefferson currently is. But I think you can have a good offense with the weapons we have here with just average quarterback play, which Kirk is playing at a higher than average quarterback play right now. Real Ministries. When the defense, O-line, and running game consistently underperform and are sloppy, you can't take the lazy argument of blaming Zach. Yes, Zach sucks, but I really believe our problems are coaching. I mean, you got to look at coaching at some point. You can't just keep trotting out the same shit quarterback. And I know you don't want me to pin it on Zach, but this gameplay and the way they called plays felt like they don't trust Zach. And maybe you're saying they should trust Zach and just unleash and just see what happens. But it felt like Zach's playing scared. It felt like the play calling was playing scared. And it felt like it wasn't helping anyone at all. And I don't think there's going to be any sort of real aha moment for the Jets unless you get a quarterback. Zachary says, let's go eat that W. Jameis Winston. Ryan says, calling for heads in a season where A-Rod goes down after 4 plays is the reason why we always will be a poverty franchise. Give this team, staff, players more than 2 weeks to try and figure this shit out. I don't think anyone's going anywhere. I really don't think anyone is getting fired because Rodgers went down. I think everyone gets a pass for this year. Kevin Chatta, what's worse, changing diapers or watching the Jets? I will change diapers all day over watching the Jets right now. It sucks. I would, at least the shitty experience is over in a minute and a half changing a diaper. The Jets, I got to waste 3.5 hours of my time, plus all the extra content that I wind up making. My Sunday, I waste 1 day a week on this shitty franchise. Sucks. Jonathan, the Kirk disrespect is real. He would be the best quarterback, season we have had in decades here. I agree. I'm on the Kirk bandwagon. I just don't know if it actually gets done and what you have to do to give him up and what you're willing to pay for a 1-year rental. Cause I don't think Winston is going to be available. Their car got hurt today. Yeah, their car got hurt going for x-rays. I don't think he's available. Wimmy says, not only have we lost 15 straight to the Pats, I broke my 85-inch TV out of frustration. Wimmy, what are you doing? Do not be that frustrated about the Jets. 85-inch touchdown or 85-inch TV? Holy smokes. Not going to be cheap. Not going to be cheap. Jesse P. Zach Wilson has no timing. It's all on him. Yeah, he holds the ball too long. I'm done. JRL says, Zach has been bad this whole time here. Everyone else that has come on has moved the ball better. I showed the stat before. It was when Zach Wilson's not the quarterback of the Jets have the number 1 offense in the league between 2021 and 2022. Number 1 offense when Zach is not on the field. When Zach is under center, the 31st ranked passing game. 31st. From 1st to 31st with Zach. You got to get someone else. Eddie McGuire, Cousins has never and will never win a big game for real. Honestly, I don't even need him to win a big game. I just want to get to the fucking playoffs. I want to be done with this goddamn graphic at the bottom of the screen that says the Jets haven't won in 10 fucking years, even though Miami hasn't won a fucking playoff game in 23 years. Like, I'm just sick of it. I want us to get to the playoffs. I don't care. I really don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't need to win a Super Bowl this year. Like, I've kind of punted on that reality. If you could turn the season around and get me excited, I don't need to win the big game. Just want to get into the playoffs. Ah, come on. Ugh. Did you see the story of Sauce talking about what Mac Jones did to him today? I did not see that. I'll have to see. You'll have to let me know. Chris says 6 primetime games for the Jets. Embarrassing. The NFL is going to flex us out. There's no way they're going to allow this team to play 6 games. No shot. Mr. Malugal. Trading a first for Cousins would cost us having a good offensive lineman for Rodgers, plus Cousins would only get us to the wild card divisional round. No, you can't trade the first. You can't trade the first. If they're going to move off Kirk, I'm not moving the first. You'd have to make it a conditional pick. Say, hey, you're getting a 3rd round pick plus a 3rd round pick next year, or you get a 3rd round pick in 2025, and then if the Jets get to the AFC Championship game, then you get the first. That's the only way I would give up the first. Kyle, Justin Fields wants a fresh start. Do we trade for him? No, I said I want a quarterback. Do not want it. Bobby says, Salah said he wants to stick with Zach. Do you think this is true, or is he just saying stuff to stop the media speculation? I think the latter. He's not saying anything right now because he wants to get out of the press conference and they want to reassess. I don't think he actually goes and backs Zach for the entire season. I think if there's a better option, they'll make the move for it. Wimmy upgraded his membership to Frequent Flyer. Thank you, Wimmy. Jets. Much appreciated, brother. Much appreciated. Ant says, we scored 42 points this season. Miami scored 70 in one game. 72 is the all-time record. Miami got 70. It's absolutely wild. Zachary says, if Zach is the starter, you have to just let him play. It would be better him throwing 5 arm punts and only a couple touchdowns than this crap. We need another 30 for 30 guy. Honestly, if they're going to trot Zach out there, take the fucking handcuffs off and just let the kid rip the ball. I'd rather see the interceptions and then just at least rip the Band-Aid off after that. This offense we're currently running is brutal. Brutal. Eddie says, Ryan McCoy is much better at winning option than Cousins. McCoy can catch fire. Sure, I'll take anyone. I don't care. I just want a competent quarterback. Real Ministry says, you can't bring in a legit quarterback like Cousins with our commitment to Rodgers. We're in deep with Rodgers, and having Cousins around won't fly with Rodgers, in my opinion. Cousins is only on a 1-year deal, so it'd be a rental. It's not like you're having Cousins and Rodgers here next year. I don't think one impacts the other necessarily. Drug says, send Salah this Cardinals tape right now. This is how you slow down Parsons. We fucking suck bad. Yep. I don't have any. No defense. It's just yep. Buttersticks, you think we trade for Cousins? Rodgers will be mad and he will not want to come back. If he doesn't want to come back, then you extend Cousins beyond this year. But I think you trade for Cousins and you say, hey, look, we're trying to win this year. We owe it to the other 52 guys on the team to try and win this year, Rodgers. We went all in for you because we owe it to the rest of the guys. We're going to let Kirk walk at the end of the season so we can have you back next year. But we gotta win this year. Pete Detraglia says, Vikings are not trading a 3rd for Cousins. No way. No, they won't. But they might take a 3rd this year because if they wind up rolling with Cousins the rest of the way out, the best compensation pick they can get is a 5th-round pick in 2025. So if you can give them a 3rd-round pick this year and a conditional pick in 2025, which is not this upcoming draft, but the next draft, based on performance this year, where the Jets still get to keep their 1st-round pick and the Vikings get the opportunity at a 3rd this year, better than they would have gotten for Kirk if he walks, or 2, you get an additional pick in 2025, regardless of what it is. It could just be based on performance. It could be a 3rd baseline. So maybe it's 2/3 is what you give up for Kirk Cousins, or a 3rd and a 2nd. And then if he does really well, then it's like a 3rd and a 1st. And then you have Rodgers next year, and you just don't have a 1st in 2025, which is hopefully you're really good with Rodgers next year. And then it doesn't matter quite as much. Yeah, I don't know. Sean says, why does everyone want Cousins? Go for Taylor Heineke, who is cheaper and can show this offense can work and expose Zach. Because I don't think anyone's getting hyped for Taylor Heineke. Like, you want to get this team energized. And I feel like Kirk's the only quarterback out there right now that you could point to and say, like, okay, the Jets are like, okay, we got a bona fide starter. Everyone else got to pick up. I feel like that's the only way you could get everyone else juiced. Ryan Fitzgerald, I say Fitzpatrick all the time, felt like they took the training wheels off for one drive and then slapped them back on when there was something to lose today. Zach didn't look good. Jay Spector says, Sauce is underperforming this year as well. This defense has a long way to go. Don't think they're feared by any team. Sit in that damn zone and lets tight ends run free. That's probably the most frustrating thing with Salah's defense, is we don't put our best players on the other team's best players. Like, I want to see Sauce travel the field. If your defense is too complicated to learn other coverages when you have to follow someone else, that's a problem too. I feel like you can man up your corners and then play everyone else in the positions you want. Let the linebackers do what they want. Let the safeties do what they want. If you want to have them in zones, do that. But at least if you have your receivers covering the best guys, I feel like you're going to set yourself up to at least have some better performances. Jesse, Rodgers at home on his couch. Who gives a crap what he thinks? He gave us 4 snaps, left us with Zach, bring in whoever. Yeah, right? Let's just fucking do it. Ulysses says Sam Darnold is better than Zach Wilson. It's hard to argue. I don't think you can argue it. Oh, man. Boys and girls, I'm going to end this here. We're at 2 hours right now. Overall, very disappointing game by the New York Jets. In the end, it actually had a dropped Hail Mary away from winning this damn thing from Randall Cobb. Jets actually could have won this game, which is insane to think about. So the Jets defense played well enough to win. It just feels like we're not going to do anything of value while Zach Wilson is under center. I have no faith in Zach Wilson right now. I don't think the team does. Even though Salah's saying it publicly right now, I think that's until he can talk to Douglas and they can figure out what their best course of action is. I don't know. Boys and girls, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did I not cover? What don't you like that I said that you think is wrong? Why did the Jets lose this game? Where do the Jets go from here? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.